Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Royal News Network Saturday morning live stream. I apologize for the delay. Miss Pippa has been sick most of this week, and she was doing better yesterday, and then I sort of messed up and wasn't doing her right food regimen. So had a bit of problems last night and this morning, so it's been a rough morning for us. But I hope you guys are all doing super fantastic and amazing because this week's been sort of crazy because we do have the final sort of lead up to Meghan Markle's show. And I have to be fair to Netflix, they are attempting to actually market this thing. And I have to say, the marketing efforts seem a little desperate. And there's like sugary PR about, oh, Meghan, she loves bees. She has this amazing garden. Oh, she wants to be a chef. But oh, her security is too much. She has too much security to go and be a chef intern. And I feel like that's a bit excessive, but I understand like what they're trying to do. But also too, I have huge questions. Why does she have so much security that she can't do like a chef internship thing? She doesn't have that higher risk. Let's be honest. Oh my goodness. Like the risk level they put themselves at, I think is just diluted nonsense, to be quite honest. But anyways, and then we do have Harry once again shoving his foot in his mouth. I think honestly, sadly for him, he is very, very disconnected from reality because he says these things like, oh, we need to have leaders with morals and ethics, and you lead by supporting your people. And I'm like, well, Harry, number one, you don't lead. Your wife leads you. You are basically, a beta male. Let's be honest. And then second of all, moral and ethics, like you can't speak on that because you literally sold your soul and your family for a bag of cash. Let's be honest. Oh my gosh, that he doesn't see that just again reiterates how dim he is, I think, because all the articles this year and sort of in other places have said it recently. They basically talked about how he's not that bright. And then we do have this interesting story from Radar Online talking about how Harry and Meghan are tense. They're not sleeping in the same bedroom and a couple other things. And I don't necessarily totally buy everything Radar Online is saying, but I do believe things are tense because she desperately needs us to succeed. Harry has given up any semblance of having any sort of career, but attempting to be service oriented because he was born into a life of service, but he doesn't understand he can't technically be serving when he's getting a paycheck for it. That's not how this works. So if he gets a paycheck to go to an event, that's not service, buddy. That's a job with a paycheck. Yeah, Harry's dim. Harry's dim. Let's be quite honest. So anyways, it's not looking particularly good for the two of them, and she desperately needs us to succeed. And the sneak peek, if you haven't seen my video on it, it is the most painfully dull thing I have ever seen. She is painfully dull, and she can't carry on a conversation, and that does not a good TV show make. You need a TV show, even inane conversations, you need to make them entertaining. Harry and Meghan can't do that. I also do have an announcement. So there was actually a bit on the video that I uploaded earlier, the painfully dull video, that had a video section of Catherine and William for the BBC that I had commentated over, but it took about 24 hours to get that to be reviewed and confirmed. So I'll be sharing that with the members. I might make it shareable to everyone too and change the thumbnail and title, but just want to let you guys know if you see something that's very similar, it's because it is. But I couldn't get it to approve for some reason. But I left it up there and it finally got approved. I don't know why it took so long. Anyways, let's go with this. We got Royally Sus from South Africa, and I believe that is Swiss as well. Hi, everyone. We got Carol saying, oh, that was such an interesting question, Wendy. Oh, man. StreamYard, for some reason, it used to do this, and it's not doing that anymore. If you guys want to put... I have the stream starting at 9:57. So if you put a question in before then, for some reason, it's not pulling that in anymore. It used to, but for some reason, it's not. So if you guys want to put that down in the comments again, that would be fantastic. So we have Linda, good morning from Connecticut. Just realized I care more about Miss Pippa update than one about Harry and Meghan. Yeah, she is mostly doing better. But I made the mistake of just kind of going back to her regular food. She's been getting bowls every day, guys, of boiled chicken and rice. And she had been doing well on that. She was getting more consistent. And then I kind of went back to her regular food yesterday, which was a mistake because I was like, I don't want to boil another chicken. I had to make more rice. It was easier when I had all those ingredients ready. But since I had to make them again, I was like, oh, maybe she's fine. No, she's not. So I'm going to have to go back to that. So yeah, I gave her a little bit of food of her regular canned, but then I'll switch it out and go to the other stuff. And I also forgot to give her medicine last night because I got off on a weird timetable. So Christina says, hi, everyone. I hope you are well. Hi, Brittany. I hope Miss Pippa is doing much better. I mean, overall, she's doing much better. She has a lot more energy, so that's good. Birdie says, good morning, everyone. Brittany, do you think Pamela Anderson could sue Meghan for so blatantly copying her cooking show? Okay, so here's the thing. Cooking shows are sort of very similar. There's not a ton you can do to make them super different. So I don't think necessarily Meghan is copying Pamela Anderson wholly. It's just that they look similar because the premise is similar. You can't make these premises all that different. And yeah, that's sort of the thing. I doubt Meghan will ever watch Pamela's show because honestly, I think some of Meghan's emphasis on, oh, I love cooking is a little exaggerated. Like so many things about her, it's a little exaggerated. So I just don't think there is no room you can sue because really there's guys, again, there's nothing new under the sun. And when it comes to cooking shows, they are very, very similar. So there's just not that much variation there. And I don't think there's any room for that. But yeah, Pamela show, like honestly, I watched part of it because I was actually originally going to go with Pamela, but I honestly wasn't that engaged with Pamela's show either, the brief clip that I saw. And that might just be me. Again, I'm not a fan of cooking shows, but I enjoyed the bit with Catherine and William on the BBC with Mary Berry. That was good. That was good. That was good entertainment. So we got Chantal says, good afternoon from sunny Netherlands. We have M. Ryan says, no one believes she married him for love. No, I really don't. I've never believed that. She married him for the title, the money, everything else, but him necessarily. And yeah, I'm sorry, but I just do believe that. I just do believe that. And we see this because she doesn't, the thing to me is when it comes to their relationship is that she utterly and completely lacks respect for him. And we see this in how she acted when they were still working royals, barging ahead of him to greet people, including the King of Morocco. That's wildly inappropriate for a royal. And it shows a lack of respect for him and his position because she wanted to dominate him and demand him. Oh, I have to go first, Harry. No, no, no. You married into a world, honey, where he always goes first. If you wanted to go first, don't marry him. Don't marry him. Find another, you know, weak beta male to marry that you can dominate. That doesn't work in his world. But he was a sucker and he was obviously a beta male and he just lets her walk all over him. And like you saw that from the beginning, even when they were first engaged and everything. And then, of course, there's the famous video, which I did favorite on my thing so I can have it. It's like they're at the Buckingham Palace garden party, and Harry is following his father and stepmother out the room, and they're going in the order of precedence. Charles, Camilla, it should be Harry and Meghan. And then Meghan taps him on the shoulder and barges in front of him. And he lets her because he went that direction. But to me, it shows that she had complete and utter disdain for who he was, his role, what role he had in their relationship, what role she was marrying into. And that does not a good marriage make. That doesn't a good marriage make. And yeah, he's still somewhat enthralled. Although I will say as well, when it comes to Canada, I felt like she was really pulling out all the stops all of a sudden, as if he was pulling away, as if things aren't going well. So she's almost overdoing it to overcompensate and really show him how much in love they are and how much in love she is with him. I just don't totally buy it. I think she's always been interested in money and fame and fortune, and he just happened to be the sucker. So Carol says, I was on a live with revealing the narc. Doesn't Meghan, she is nothing without Harry. Exactly. And she sort of refuses to admit that. She sort of acts as if she is like, she's there because of her own abilities. I was like, no, honey, you're there because of your husband and solely your husband and his family. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. And I think Catherine and other royals are definitely cognizant of that. And so they just don't have that level of sort of arrogance as if, oh, the world's finally discovered me because I'm so wonderful. Like, no, you happen to marry a sucker. That's my opinion. Joan G says, I think Netflix has already told Meghan they are not renewing. How can her business still not have products for sale? The business doesn't have products for sale because she's incompetent. That's the only way to look at it. Again, when it comes to promoting products, there is nothing better than her show to do that. And she didn't get the products ready in time because she couldn't get the trademarks. And for somebody who is so stinking invested in this to have this many bungles shows somebody who's really not invested in this concept, not invested in this world, not invested in whatever. And so I think to me, that's what that symbolizes. So Just wanted to make sure. No, that's just marketing text. You never know sometimes if you're getting texts from family members in the morning, but they know I'm on here. So, but yeah, when it comes to Netflix not renewing, I think they've sort of told Meghan this is it. And they're happy talking, saying they're still working on their scripted show. I really don't think they are. Harry's essentially given up on the production side. He's essentially given up and thrown his hands in the air and has moved on. Meghan's sort of trying to do it, but she's not creative either. And like the cardinal sin I see in her show, and this is again just a little sneak peek, we don't know everything, is that she's boring. She's dull, like shockingly dull. And it's just hard to get like super excited about a show that's as dull as With Love Meghan looks to be. I mean, it looks seriously like that conversation with Roy Choi was so incredibly painful that there's like awkward pauses. Like they couldn't get a good camaraderie going. And it was like, when she said the dumb thing, she's like, oh yeah, we are multifaceted people. I was like, what are you talking about? It's just not a good conversation. So K Coffee says, good morning from Florida. We have Ritz, sick and tired of these two lying about everything. They need to be checked. Can't wait for the avalanche coming in this week. It's going to be good. Yes, and that's kind of what I enjoy doing a bit, is like going, okay, the history here, it's a little sus. It's not the whole story, Harry and Meghan. We know it's not the whole story. So yeah, stop with all the other stuff. Royally Sus says that marriage never had a chance. Can't wait to hear the real me cute story. Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear. I might have said that one already. Chris Cook said, good morning. We have M. Ryan here. We have, let's see, going down because it's nice people are greeting each other, but that doesn't always make sense when I say it out loud. So we have Catherine says hello from Bristol. We have Minnie Coco Chanel, morning from Texas. American Lynn one says, my husband told me he didn't understand all the Meghan hate. So I showed him a documentary about her last night. And by the end of it, he was like, wow, she's a sociopath. Yeah, it's really, for people who are not in it, like watching very closely, I can see the confusion because she seems lovely. She seems lovely. It's just one of those things, once you take away the layers and the veneer of, the spin, and you sort of see the real person underneath, you're like, oh, I see. Yeah, not a good look for her. And Meghan's just gonna, guys, always struggle with that. I really honestly think, and my mom was telling me about, she's like, sometimes everybody or you just, she's like, you just, tear everything apart. And my mom's being real. And I appreciate that. And I'm not generally looking for her to fail, because I'm like looking to be, okay, how is this show going to look? And I was just once again blown away by how boring it is. And that's something they've struggled with for their entire documentary career so far, is that most of their shows are bloated, boring, and lack a consistent narrative. And you see that problem propping up again immediately in that little bit. And there was a way where, maybe asking the question, do you listen to music while cooking? Which I still think is a dumb question, is not necessarily super awful. Somebody else pointed this out, which I thought was great, is that she failed to sort of make it more interesting by her reaction to it. She couldn't engage well in it. And she looked totally like, oh, you listen to like death metal? Ew. Like you could just see sort of the disgust on her face, to be quite honest. And if you're not curious and open to what other people enjoy, you're not going to enjoy life, basically. And one of the big things about just even being a person is being curious about others and going, ooh, what does that sound like? Who are your favorite bands? Like, what does this mean? Yada, yada, yada. There's so many questions that she could have asked. Instead, she went for gave a really nasty reaction, in my personal opinion. She really did. And it was sort of unflattering. Oh, we have Diane, who gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Thank you so much, Diane. Guys, I have to work on some other stuff here that are more boring. But this weekend, I will be setting up as well for Tuesdays, a little bit of a watch party. It'll probably be in the morning sometime. So I'm sure not everybody can watch at the same time, unfortunately, because some people will be at work and those sorts of things. But watching the first episode or 2 of Meghan's show together. Now, you don't have to actually watch it with me, but you can see me watch and react to it in real time. That would be sort of the interesting thing, and see my whining and complaining as I watch it. So, we will be setting that up, guys, and so if you wanna check that out, again, lots going on there in the membership space, so thank you so much, Diane. We have Creative Chaosify. Hello, everyone. We got Ritz. The mask slips are just wild. She cannot control herself. She really can't. She really can't. That mask slip was fairly shocking. And like, yeah, it's not her thing, but she asked the question. She should expect an answer she's not expecting, because that's actually your ticket to make the scene more interesting, and she didn't take it. Much like Harry and Meghan can't take the actual good storylines from their shows and focus on them, they bloat it with other things. They just overbloat things, and you just see that happen in real time, where she doesn't take it as like, "Oh, I mean, that's interesting. Tell me, how did you get interested in that genre of music? I haven't even heard of that. What is it that? What does it sound like?" She went with like, "Oh, well, that's not very joyful, is it?" I was like, "Okay, you really sound like you're judging the dude for his taste in music, and you're the one who asked, so you should just be, interested in whatever he says." But maybe that the exchange goes on longer and we don't know. But again, that's a sneak peek. That's the best they got. Carol says, fantastic videos. I love your analysis, Brittany. Why, thank you. We have the XO Dominion says, hello. Caroline Lane says, hi, Brittany and everyone from Muggy Path in Perth. We have Casey. Good morning, RNN friends from Cloudy, New Hampshire. We got Kimberly as well. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Brittany and Pippa. Kate says, good day from Alabama. Terry says hello from Philadelphia. Ritz says still she got her hands all over her face while handling food. Just no. Well, I mean, to be fair, she's just making it for herself, I guess, and for fun. But I mean, it looks overly done. I need to watch actually an interview with Mindy Kaling, because she made a big deal about how Meghan, their episode is about kids' birthday parties. And she went on late night recently and talked about throwing her child a birthday party. It still sounds like she's throwing the kid's birthday party pretty much the same way, although she feels more guilty about it now. So if Mindy Kaling, even though she was on the show with Meghan, did not actually change her shows or whatever, or her parties, then Meghan's advice, she didn't really take it at the end of the day. That's the way you could look at it, which is sort of fascinating. Monica Alvos, thank you so much for the super chat. The interaction was dull, awkward, and boring. Rude on her end, too. I'm still trying to figure out what she was cooking. She held something the whole time and didn't know where to put it. Yeah, it was just a really strange exchange. And it really just didn't make her look all that good. Like, if I was Netflix, like, you want to choose the most like dynamic thing for a teaser. And although, to be fair, it was kind of funny because I looked at another sneak peek and they had the next sneak peek thing labeled on Netflix was Devil May Cry. And I watched that. And honestly, I mean, some of the animation was okay, but I was like, some of the dialogue I thought was really cheesy and corny. Although I looked in the comments and apparently that's sort of actually inspired by the game itself. It's like based off a video game, but it had like 200 some odd thousand views, and Megan's just didn't even have any views. And that does not like a good thing make either. I don't even know if hers, guys, has broken 100,000 views. Let me look here. And that again, so my reaction to hers, I think, is close to 100,000 views. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to check this out now, because now that I'm thinking about it, this is another thing. So Megan's sneak peek got 89,000 views on Netflix, which has an account of 30 million subscribers. So let's look. Sorry, I got to change accounts here because I got too many accounts, guys. Got too many things I've been doing, trying to keep up with. So according to my little records, I have 99,900 views. So guys, my video on Meghan's interaction has currently more views than the actual sneak peek. 10,000 more. That's insane. But that's the problem I think they're going to run into. And actually, even Page Six recently posted a video talking about the whole WME thing. And one of the things they talked about is that she apparently had some sort of meltdown because people didn't work over the holidays for her like she wanted them to, even though they were like on holiday. They were like, it was Christmas and New Year's. And so people just generally, that's a slow time. Even in the industry, that's a slow time. And so they were like, yeah, we don't work. And that's sort of the bust up that happened with WME. And then also they talked about how maybe her best bet for views is hate watching, but it's so boring. People aren't going to hate watch because it's more fun sometimes to actually watch people react to something than it is to actually watch the thing. And that's what I think Meghan is going to run into. That's what Harry ran into with Heart of Invictus because I got more views than he did. And so it's just like one of those things where watching it is going to be more entertaining. But yeah, she's just, I think from what I've seen, it's not going to go very well. We got Minnie Coco Chanel gifted one Royal News Network membership. Why, thank you so much. Minnie Coco Chanel, your doggy is so cute. So, yeah, so much going on, guys. It's going to be fascinating to see. And we got Grandma Kitty Dollhouse says, hello, Brittany. How will the royal family avoid someone like Meghan marrying into the family in the future? She's done so much damage. Well, I think if they don't have, I think the Wales' kids will be raised better. Number one, and I think they're brighter. So don't think I'll have quite as much of a problem in the future. Harry, it was just sort of I mean, it does happen to the spare, but I think it's actually helpful to have a girl as a spare, to be quite honest, because she doesn't tend to fall for the same traps men do. So I think that's going to be better. We have a Cyber Maven Music Media and Media says, good morning, everyone. We have Ritz says, I wanted to see her chopping up meat and actually cooking. Is she just moving stuff around on a plate like that? Come on. Very true. Like we, Monica said, she's just kind of there, not really doing anything. Bird on a Branch says, hello from currently snowing Ohio. Becktopia says, hi, everyone. We got a couple of new usernames here, which is awesome. We got Wendy Van Rokel says, does she look at her kids that way if the day or do something she doesn't like? I imagine so. To be quite honest, Meghan has always struck me as somebody, and this is just my personal opinion, as one who is, I don't, I think part of the reason she doesn't want the kids to be too public is in part is that she doesn't want them to do something she doesn't want them to do. And the older kids get, the more likely they are to do something that is not what she wants. You know, they have a tantrum, they have something and she probably can't handle it. So yeah, I'm sure she looks at Harry that way. I'm sure she looks at a lot of people that way when they're like doing the thing or saying the thing that she doesn't expect. And it's more, it didn't come across as, at least from what I could read of her expression, to be quite honest, is that she didn't come across as curious. She came across as sort of, ew, like it wasn't just like, oh, I don't know how to portray a curious expression, but she did not seem curious to me. She seemed more judgmental, to be quite honest. Oh, Cindy gave a super sticker, 19.99. Thank you so much, Cindy. I do appreciate that this morning. So yeah, thank you so much. We do have Caroline Lane says, good question, Miss Kitty. We have M. Ryan saying, those poor kids. Jamie Roland as well. Good morning from beautiful and sunny Virginia. We have Roxanne from NYC. And we have Gretchen the second. Good morning, all. I swiped too hard, guys. I'm so sorry. I have my little cursor here and it swiped too hard. So sorry. So I missed some of the comments. Gosh darn it. I'm sorry. When I did that, sometimes I lose some of the comments. I'm so sorry. So anything before 10:23 unfortunately got lost. Ugh. Man. All right. Paula M's channel says, I'm surprised she didn't use a Beyonce song for her show or any mainstream media songs. Must be too expensive. That's a great point. That's a great point. There's not really, it's kind of a cringy thing too. Do you believe in magic? It's like, no, with her, I don't really believe in the magic. It's just kind of cringy and cliche. And yeah, but that would work with Meghan. So Danielle says she was trying to create cheerful show and she started talking about death metal. Yeah, but you could spin it fun. I think the thing with Meghan is that she's so consumed with putting on a particular persona that she can't react when somebody does something she doesn't expect. So she's so contrived and controlled that when something weird happens, like she can't totally react to it correctly. And that's one of the things where she lacked the spontaneity because she can't just be herself. She's always trying to put on the persona so that when he does something that doesn't match what she views in that particular moment, she can't react very well or easily because she's so consumed with, okay, what does that mean? What do I do? What, and like rather than just going, oh, okay. She just can't do that. And I think that's going to be a big challenge for the show going forward, is that she clearly lacks spontaneity and she just can't seem to go with the flow very well. And you kind of sort of need to be flexible to be on a show and do this. Like me, I have my little trackpad here. I went back too far. And that happens sometimes. It's like you can't freak out. You just got to go along with it. And maybe this is me too. This is sort of a different situation, but like I know that for some people, this would have been like so crippling that they wouldn't have been able to do anything. Because when I was in Denmark going to the state banquet, I realized about when I was about to walk up to the palace, thankfully half an hour early, that I had left my press badge back at the hotel. And I just decided, because I wanted to get there early anyways. So I had to, though, like figure out how to run it and get back. And I couldn't sit, like, you're sitting there and you're panicking going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I'd waited for this event the whole week. I missed the first event because I overslept, and I've been traveling so much. I'm tired. And like, this was like the biggest event I had ever been to. And I was like so excited. And to have that, it could have been so crippling, but I'm like, no, I got to do it. I got to do this now. And I got to run and do this. And it worked out. I made it there with 3 minutes to spare for time wise. And I almost wish I had somebody to like sort of film that, because because at that point I was like, I don't want to, that would have been hard to do two things at once because I was so freaking out about it. But yeah, it was like absolute panic. But you just have to move through it. You like things don't go away, you have to adjust. I just don't think she can adjust. She's not one of those spontaneous people. She's not. We got Stephanie here with a super sticker. Thank you so much for that, Stephanie, this morning. And we also have a mini Coco Chanel. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. We love your page. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. I work pretty hard on it. That might sound a little bit, but yeah, it's a lot of work. I was up pretty late last night. Some of it as I get a slow start during the early parts of the day. Probably I was trying to decide what to do. If you guys haven't gone over to the fashion channel, you should. I posted a video last night on Queen Mary wearing a replica of, she's wearing the same dress as Kate, although technically she owned it before Kate. And I did happen to find that dress. It is on sale, and I'm really tempted to get it and do a fashion video on it, because guys, I actually had the same exact shoes Mary wore with that dress. I own them because they're the shoes Princess Beatrice wore. And so that's why I got them. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And then my friend got me for Christmas, the replica Queen Mary's lover's knot. And I was like, I could do Catherine too, because I could wear the tiara, the dress. It's like, oh my gosh, I really want to do that. It's still like an insanely expensive dress, but I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to do it. But anyways, guys, if you haven't checked that out, there was some interesting fashion at the Arts and Cultural Gala there in Denmark. Some really, really interesting things. All right, we got Siba gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Why, thank you so much, Siba. I do appreciate it, and I'm sure others will too, because this is going to be a fun weekend. Or fun. I won't do too much this week because I got behind the scenes boring stuff to do, like taxes. So that's going to be working on this weekend for the most part. Hopefully, I'm actually trying to maybe get done with most of it by today. I actually managed to get through it much faster than I did last year. Thank goodness, because last year was a slog. I really struggled with it last year. So hopefully not as bad this year. At least not as bad so far. So we have Danielle says she was trying to, oh yeah, we did that. Alana says, good morning, Brittany and everyone from cold and windy Woodstock, Ontario. Ooh, I'm so glad cold is hopefully, knock on wood, mostly over here. Rosa Fonterra Young. Sorry, I'm not great at pronouncing. My brain's a little slow this morning too. For the record, I'm so grateful for creators like you. You save me from having to watch those things myself. Why, thank you. Guys, as a consumer of other created content, I watch the same thing. I've watched a lot of reviews of content. I have never actually personally taken up my put on my phone, my TV, anything. I've watched people react to it. I actually watched a bunch of reactions to Velma because I was like so disappointed in that show. Because Velma was supposed to be about Scooby Doo, and it just looked, from the reviews I saw, it looked horrifically awful. And I was more entertained to watch the people and more, I don't want to say encouraging, but in some ways it was encouraging for people to say, this is awful. Because you feel it too, and you watch and you're like, oh my gosh. But of course, everybody's always welcome to watch the things, but it's become an sort of industry to watch people watch things. That's why there's so many watch reaction channels and stuff. It's because that's become super popular. And that does not bode well for Meghan, especially if, like I said, guys, looking at the numbers here, I'm outpacing Meghan by 10K for my video. That's not good for her. And I got mine out hours later. So yeah. Courtney said, meanwhile, Pamela Anderson's Cooking with Love started last week. The preview of Rachel's show paled by comparison. So it must be playing in the States because she finished that show in like 2023 or something. So I think it played in Canada at least 2024. Linda said, I'm not going to watch. I will check it out with you, Brittany. Why, thank you. I hope we enjoy. I mean, it could be wonderful. If it is wonderful, guys, I will tell you, I just don't have a feeling it is. Rit says she does nothing but move stuff on a plate. That is not cooking. I want to see her cutting apart a whole chicken. Isn't that her favorite? Yeah, she makes a big deal about being a big into roasting chicken. Jilly Bean says flowers in the eyes. Boy, I hope she had them checked to make sure they weren't poisonous. Marjorie says Meghan's idea for children's party is a party to show off. Meghan Markle, the children's enjoyment is way down on her list. I would agree with that. If Mindy Kaling still went with her cheap parties, then it shows that she didn't take anything from Meghan. Heather said, can someone send me a clip of Meghan tapping Harry on the shoulder to go up before him at Buckingham? It was one that I struggled to find because it was part of, I think, a documentary for Charles or something. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can find it here on my ridiculous phone filled with many, 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 many things. No, let's go. There we go. Where is... By the way, guys, I hate how whatchamacallit, Apple updated their phone. I hate the update. The update is annoying. Because I can't, it's like, it makes it harder to find things. At least the organization. Although I do like, you can now edit the videos in the future. But here, I actually do have it here. So hold on. I put it in favorites so I wouldn't forget. In case you wanted to see it, it's going to take me a second to queue it up because I think I might get copyright struck if I play it too long. So I will, here, play it up here, queue it up here real quick. So, all right, guys. So this is it. So they're leaving Buckingham Palace. And so they're going back in order to President Charles, Camilla, Harry's about to go out. And then she taps him on the shoulder, barges ahead. So again, that's not how royals do it. Blood royal always goes first. Harry's just kind of enjoying the sights and he was going to go out. And then Meghan reminded him that no, she goes first. She goes first. I go first, honey. I go first. I'm more important. I go first. So yeah, that was like in the days after their wedding. So you can just tell she never cared. And that, again, just reflects poorly on her and poorly on the respect she has for him as her husband. So we do have Julie gave a super sticker. Why, thank you so much, Julie. I do appreciate it. We have the Canadian Beaver as well. Gave a super chat. Hit the like button, please. Thumbs up on. Why, thank you so much. I do appreciate that this morning. It's so good to have like encouragement as we get through this weekend because it's going to be a crazy week this week, guys. I don't know how it'll all look because I like it could be one video, it could be multiple videos because there's different things to discuss. It could be an episode it could be a video per episode. It's kind of hard to tell because it will dump all at once. So we shall see. Allison says, good morning from Ohio. We have Subaki. Only sunshine and rainbows allowed on Meghan's joyous cooking show. Yes. Because we have heard before that she can't stand any negativity, you could say. Paris Finley says, I can't stand the eat she was holding. I can't stand the eat she was holding that food with the claw. The longer you hold anything, your hand will sweat. Very true. Horror Beauty FX, you can tell the whole interaction was fake. Even the chef did not want to be there. And you could tell these two do not hang out together like she would like you to think. Yeah. And I thought it was weird for her to immediately start talking about Koreatown and the clubs. I was like, so did you not like actually go to any of the restaurants or anything? Because this whole thing is about cooking. So, I mean, that's my thing. But I was like, because I'm not a club person, but I was like, that's all you can think of for Koreatown is the clubs. That's all you got. Heather says, been trying to find it. Gloria says, just not interested. I farm, cater, and work hard for sustainable living on my 20 acres, prep and preserve, not even remotely wasting 1 second on her content. Yeah, I just don't think my thought is that when it comes to her content, I think there will be people who will be like, yay, rah, rah, and that'll be a small minority. I think she'll struggle with making it approachable to everyone because she has this massive, gorgeous, amazing garden that we have been told she exists, that she's super passionate about, and bees and everything. And people are going to look like, I don't have a massive, gorgeous garden in California with like the perfect weather to grow pretty much everything. And I don't have bees. So how am I supposed to connect with her? I think the thing is she going to be too wealthy and trying to be like connecting with people? Because if you're going to be that wealthy, you almost have to be so ostentatious. You're untouchable. That's sort of what Gwyneth Paltrow has done very well. Goop is sort of aspirational. Is Meghan's going to be aspirational or affordable? Because that'll be the challenge again. What is the balance she's going to hit? Because if she doesn't hit the balance just right, people are going to hate it. And she's going to be criticized. Well, I could hear actually people like a lawnmower or something or a weed whacker going on outside. I was like, oh, spring is coming. It's March 1st. Oh my gosh. Peeper Jean says, Chef Choi tried so hard to connect with Meghan in some way. He seemed exasperated and just done by the end of that clip. Like, well, I tried. Anyways, back to the cooking. Yeah, honestly, he was more engaging than she was. If he had somebody better to bounce off on, it would have been better. She's just, you can't bounce off her. You need sort of that synergy, that energy. That's why, like, when it comes to acting and stuff, like, chemistry really does matter. If two people don't have chemistry, it comes across. It really truly does. They need to have some sort of like friction, and like you need to have it in some ways entertaining. Again, maybe at some point people are interested. I'll re-upload the original video I had wanted to post about that. If you guys want to see it, because it does contain the Catherine and William bit where you see there's this synergy and this, you have to sort of over exaggerate almost for the camera. And because I want to talk maybe in some ways like this in my real life. Maybe not, but it's like you have to like over exude sometimes because you're looking at a flat screen, right? So there's a flatness there. So you have to overcome the flatness by almost overdoing it. And there is, I think it was an interesting thing talking about Emma Stone and that she could literally like have a candy bar and make it the most interesting thing you've ever seen. There's some people who just have such creativity and I think charisma coming out their behinds that you just give them 5 seconds and they can just do magic basically. Meghan Markle is not one of those people. She's not one of those people, clearly not one of those people. And she's going to just, some people she might connect well with, sometimes she might not. And the premise, the fault though here too is that the premise could be somewhat false and that she's really not into anything that she's doing. And so she can't totally sell it because she's not really into it. So we shall see again what it all looks like. The Canadian Beaver gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Well, thank you so much. The Canadian Beaver. I always love your hat. Your hat always makes me happy. I have again plans to go to, well, I'm kind of debating now because I want to go to the UK in sort of the early part of April. I will miss Charles and Camilla's trip to Italy. I almost debated going to that, but I was like, there was tickets to St. James's Palace and East Wing of Buckingham Palace still available. And I managed to catch 2 of those. And those had sold out really fast, especially St. James's. And I've never been to St. James's, even though you could go and tour it. So I'm super excited about that. And I was like, I'll get back though, right before Easter. I've sort of made it a tradition now that for Easter, I wear a fascinator to church. And there's one from LK Bennett that I really want. And I think it's cheaper to buy it in the UK than it is to buy it in the US. I think in the UK with the exchange rate, I think it's like $120, where if you buy it online, it's 150. So even though it's sort of a big hat, I think I might buy it, but I love going to London and checking out the fascinators. That's one of my like favorite things to do every time is go and look at the fascinators. And this time I might actually take some home with me, maybe more than one. Sometimes I try to take about one. I have three now currently, three fascinators. So it'll be more of like, it kind of falls over my birthday too. So it'll be more like a fun, relaxing trip, but still with work attached. All right. Melby says, wow, I had no idea I was actually getting to watch a live. Yes, you are. Very exciting. I know. I know. Rich says, if this joke of a show is anything, it will provide tons of comedy. Yes. Tons of comedy. Laner says, I laughed when the chef said they were so much alike. Yeah, me too, a little bit. Yeah, he just was not. Yeah. Lisa says, yay, way to go, girl. Why, thank you. Bobby says, once again, Meg Z has no idea what she's doing and yet claims to be an expert. Yeah. And I think part of the problem too is for Meghan is that she wants to, I think, she's going to probably try to go too far too fast with this because she wants to be Joanna Gaines without realizing it took Joanna Gaines 20 years to be Joanna Gaines. You have to build something from the ground up. And I think Meghan believes just because of her title that people should just buy into everything. And I think she's setting herself up for failure. Even the Olsen twins, who were huge names. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, especially for my generation, huge. I had a friend who had like every single direct to video movie of theirs. Like she had everything Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. She loved them. And they started the row with a handful of products that they had worked really, really hard for. They had worked really, really hard to build their brand, and it's now become very, very successful. And that took a long time. It was not something that happened overnight. There's a high mortality rate in fashion too. Fashion and food, you're gonna get killed if you're not careful. Like even Zach Posen, who designed Princess Eugenie's um, reception dress, his company folded. The Vampire's Wife, even though it was, I would argue, probably pretty successful, it had to fold for a variety of reasons. And I think Meghan just does not appreciate the time, effort, and energy it takes to build a brand. She just wants it to be there because she's the Duchess of Sussex. And I just don't think that's going to go very well. Esther says, good morning, everyone. Meghan is so out of touch, poorly dresses for what she's doing, and she needs to look at Catherine, who's dressed well in Wales when making cakes. Yes, Catherine looked at very cute and I thought, very appropriate for the situation. So, yes. We have Heather Porter, who gave a super chat. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you so much as well. And we do also have Kiki Mitt, also gave a super chat. Love your channel. Why, thank you guys. I really appreciate the support as we continue to grow and change and do different things, because we are definitely going to, like, I was like thinking last night, I was like, ooh, okay, once this is all sort of over and done with, it's like we're not gonna move. It's not gonna be like an automatic move, but I was like, I got some new ideas. Definitely going to be, hopefully once this is all over, focusing also more on the fashion channel, because that one's fun. That one's fun. All right, we have a Wasser Kates says, Meghan doesn't have a history with throwing exciting celebrity-filled parties. I'd rather watch Heidi Klum's Halloween-themed reality show. Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, because Heidi Klum is well known for creating crazy costumes for her Halloween party. Creative Chaosify says, did anyone else notice how Meghan was West-splaining Koreatown to the chef? That's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't totally catch that. Because essentially she said, again, Koreatown was pretty much made up of clubs. And do you remember the dances? What music do you like? The most inane conversation ever. Rosalie says, sorry, I just knocked the mic. Good morning from Manila, Philippines. Why do both of them keep on lying? All this copying is going to explode in their face big time. I feel for Chef Choi. She was very rude. Yes, and I think, again, it's going to be this sort of big thing where I just don't know why they continue to try to spin a narrative. And this is a challenge. I have a new PR person coming in. Like, and this person I wrote on X is like, wishing her the best of luck because she's gonna need it, because she is, because they can't stop lying. They constantly are trying to reframe the narrative, and that's part of why they're failing, is that they're constantly so trying to reframe the narrative that they're flopping. That's just not good. That's not good. Like, there's no reason for them to lie to such a degree. Like, stop lying. Just share the truth. Share your perspective. I mean, she just got on there on Instagram and flat out lied about the reason she changed the name. Because, yes, I'm sure being geographically limiting was part of it, but she had to have known that when she chose the name. She left, or she dropped it, because of the trademark issues. We all know this. We all saw it play out in the press. Don't lie. There's one thing of massaging the truth, where you're telling the truth, but you're telling it in a way where you're sort of gently guiding people to the conclusion you want them to make. And then there's flat out lying. And she was flat out lying. There's just no other way about it. All right, we have Siba here as well, giving a super chat. Thank you so much. After Harry and Meghan, will there ever be another Duke and Duchess of Sussex, kind of like the Windsor title? Probably not. It's probably at this point a cursed title. They need to amend it too, so Archie doesn't inherit that title, because he doesn't need to. They really need to take Harry and Meghan and the legacy they're leaving and impacting on the British royals more seriously than they are. They're just, I think, I mean, I'm sure they're giggling to themselves at the absurdity of the antics of Harry and Meghan, but not also at the same time taking them super duper seriously. You need to take them seriously. Stop trying to sort of be like, oh, they're just doing whatever. It's fine. No, take them seriously, because they are undermining you on the public stage. You need to take that seriously. The British royals are not, and I think it's bad for them to do so. But yeah, I don't think they'll be using the Duke and Duchess of Sussex again at all. Alana said yesterday, Real Housewives reactions, Jen had more likes for her comment on the trailer than the trailer itself has. It's a disaster. Exactly. Exactly. And that's, the trailer got a lot of views, but that the sneak peek is still even struggling to break 100,000 views is not all that good. Again, let me show you guys here. I'll just show you guys what it looks like here real quick. Nope, not that. No, not that. Oh, there we go. I keep it like, wait, switch is the right screen. Okay, guys, so this is the current Netflix screen right here. And so Megan's show right here, 89,000 views one day. And it's called Sneak Peek. Love is Blind is only 30,000, maybe more like 20,000 behind. And it's like, does not have a big name like Megan attached to it. And then you have Devil May Cry, which is a huge, like, I guess, video game platform, because I was just curious. 355,000 views for the sneak peek. Let's see, other views. Some of the views, like 19,000 for the full swing is not good, but it was actually a decent sneak peek, because it was about something people were interested in, is that Scotty Sheffield being arrested. So we got that. And we got sneak peek here, 34,000. So some of the sneak peeks don't go very well, but they're also from really tiny things. I just want to see if there's another. So Bridgerton season 4 sneak peek got 1.6 million. And it's a big name. So it just doesn't seem like Meghan's in particular is doing super well, considering how big a name she is. Oh, sneak peek. An anime over here, Sakamoto Days. Nearly 200,000 views. I mean, that was 2 weeks ago. But still, it's just kind of crazy when you think about it. Cobra Kai, 1 million. It's just, Meghan, I think, is not as big a draw as people think she is. And they're just really not. I was just going to see if there's anything else particularly interesting here. Next on Netflix recap, we do have, obviously, upcoming, what is it? The Wednesday. I want to see the Wednesday show again. Sorry. So we're just kind of just randomly going through it. Anyways, not a particularly, it's not very promising for Meghan, especially if views from channels like mine are outpacing hers. They have the same problem with Heart of Invictus. And if they can't get people to hate watch, because I imagine so many more people watched hate watching of Velma, like reactions, than actually will ever watch the show itself. And I think Meghan's going to be in the same boat. So we may do an episode by episode. It depends. Rose Dawson, and thank you so much for the super chat, said, "Hi from Newcastle, Australia. Oh, it is very early for you. I think Harry will get sick of Meghan using the kids to promote herself. It's probably the one deal breaker for Harry. Meghan chases fame and Harry runs from it. I don't know though. I think Harry does chase fame a little bit too. And yeah, he is sort of into it, but like he quote unquote wants to protect the kids, but he also lets his wife walk all over him. So I don't know where it'll go. Let's see. So Babette says, "We will let you watch it for us." Yes. Michelle says, "Hello, Brittany and everyone. Have you heard the amount of inactive accounts on Megan's IG?" Yes, but I haven't seen sort of the realities of that behind the scenes, so I don't know quite where to view that, I guess you could say. So, not quite sure. And we do have a new member, Ton Vin 0312. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. That is so exciting. And yeah. Let's keep going here. Caroline says Laners looked horrified when he said that. Yeah, she did. She genuinely looked horrified at his musical choices. Cuggy says Megan works 1 hour a month. Can you imagine she didn't work 1 hour on Christmas? Yeah, 100%. But she expects other people to slave away on her behalf. Yep, that would be Megan. Carol says people go to the YouTube accounts who take the hit and watch it for them. Exactly. Hi, Brittany. Will you please address if Harry has been to church since he moved to the US? Do you think they have a home church in California, or did she take him from his faith too? Megan is definitely not a person of faith. She basically went to a sort of witchy ritual with her friends there in California, and she changes her religion based on who she's dating at the time. So Megan has, I would argue, no probably internal faith. And Harry, I heard, used to go to church more often. I doubt he's going now. I highly, highly doubt he's going. Clyde says, so her reality cooking show is about her not really cooking, but prancing around. Yep, that's a hit. Not exactly. Wreck. Megan Hart. If you hurt Megan, hey, you are welcome to do that. I will not fault you for that. Maybe I will think that's not the best, but as long as we can all agree to disagree, that is healthy. Chantal says Dan Wooten claims there are 1.8 million inactive accounts following Megan's Instagram account. Your thoughts? Again, I think that's sort of an interesting thing to consider. I would not be surprised because see, Instagram is highly known for being able to buy bots. It's sort of well known for being that. I think there was a thought that Selena Gomez had purchased a bunch of bots for her account, or maybe some of the Kardashians and stuff like that. So not surprised in the slightest that there are definitely some fake accounts. I 100% buy that. Is it all? No, I mean, she is an incredibly famous person, but think, guys, she's an incredibly famous person. She married into the British royal family. So she has more almost of an international platform with some celebrities, and she barely broke into 2 million. It took her a while. That's, yeah, not that impressive. Erica says, sometimes I wonder if Megan likes the negative attention. Maybe for her, no attention is worse than bad attention. Probably. But the unfortunate thing is, I also think too, she has a pathology of desperately needing to be liked, and she's never liked. And I think that drives her bonkers. And Ryan says, I will not hate watch. I will not give them the views. The Zendane says, hello, Brittany and R&M watchers. Sunshine and blue skies here in Denmark at 4:25 p.m. I won't be watching Megan. She doesn't interest me at all. Happy weekend. I'm off to work. Well, have a good work day. Live free or die, says thank you, Minnie. Mel B says, hey, everyone. It's 2 a.m. Sunday here in Australia. That is very late. That's very late. Although I felt that last night because Miss Pippa woke me up and I was like, oh, Miss Pippa. Cop Watch Imperial says, it's exhausting to listen to Megan. She seems to be on the whole time, never a genuine moment. Exactly. And that she needs to. I was listening to somebody else talk about this recently too, is that authenticity is the future. If you can't be authentic, you will fail in this climate, and people can sniff out authenticity. They really can. And so the more she shares of herself and the less she can be her actual self, and more of this trying to do this fake contrived image, it'll not go well. K West says, that's all thumbs up, Brittany. All of Brittany's videos here in RNN so she can get exposure she deserves for all her hard work. Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. Do appreciate it this morning. We got Gloria here who became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Gloria. It's going to be so fun. Creative Chaosify says, I think all future royal spouses will be forced to sign NDAs. I mean, they kind of already are in some ways, but Meghan, I think, has sort of wised up to the fact that sharing about the royals, yes, it's brought her, you could say, some money, but it's also destroyed her too. So Heather says, can someone post? Oh, yeah, I did post clip. Ritz says, I got to stock up on popcorn, chocolate, cheese, and wine for Tuesday special. Nellie says, good morning, all. Hope Miss Pippa is back to full health soon. Me too. Me too. It was my mistake, though. My mistake. She slept through 2 nights, and I decided to change things up. My fault. Philippa says, 1,100 watching, 317 likes. Don't forget to hit the like button. Why, thank you. Ann A says, realistically, how much money will the show make for them, even if it were to succeed? So this is a thing that's sort of hard about Netflix, is that you don't, the dividends come more from keeping subscribers or gaining subscribers and keeping the subscriber base than it does like the actual box office and or commercials. Like they are starting to sell commercials now on Netflix, which they have to do in order to make money. Netflix is not sustainable as it is right now without them starting to get another revenue stream, because again, they've saturated the market so much. They have 300 million people signed up, which is obviously in a world of 7 or 8 billion. That doesn't sound like that much, but it is actually quite a huge amount. And so they've sort of reached the level of market saturation and they have to expand. Now, actually, my suggestion to Netflix, if I was them, would be is to really, really go hard on merchandising. So when it comes to like Cobra Kai, how many action figures can you make? How many things can you get? Like they have some sort of, you could say, a small level of merchandise that they sell on their website. I would actually tell them, you need to actually blow that out. Go hard on merchandising. That is actually how they're going to make their money. Now, they do license things out to merchants to make things. So they do get a chunk or a royalty of whatever that they sell from that. But I would even, if I was them, I would just go so hard on merchandising. The problem is that Meghan, they're partners with Meghan, but do they get a royalty on everything she sells? I certainly hope they do. They're probably actually the ones funding the production of the products. And I'm sure, again, if she overblows the budget and produces too many things at once and there's not a lot of quality control and everything's sort of mid, it will flop. So she's got to be incredibly careful here. And she's dealing with food products. And I'm so sorry, but food products are not going to be, they're not going to make you a ton. The overhead is really low on a lot of those things. And yeah, I just don't think that would be the last route I would go in, to be quite honest. And she can't do shirts to stay as ever, which is sort of bad. So it's hard to say how much money will the show have to make, because it's kind of contingent on a couple of things. How many people sign up just to watch her show? How many watch hours her show is, like for those who are paying for a subscription with commercials, how well do those commercials do, and those sorts of things. And Harry and Meghan at this point do not have a good track record. So it remains to be seen. And this is a thing too, where she's solely on it. Harry has nothing to do with it. And it could be, I read it before because Harry was involved in the polo thing, that could be, that is kind of bad that he's not involved, but it could be just that he so hates all of this that he's just essentially given up. And she was the next thing. So we'll see. Crafts and Homestead, how many dislikes does she have in her peak now? Let's see. Okay, sorry. And so we have, so we have 11,000 downvotes to 1,000 upvotes. So let's see. So here we have right here with the latest, you can see with Love Meghan bonding in the kitchen with Roy Choi. So it has 1,100, and then we have the expanded, and then we have like how many, not a lot of great positive comments. Although if you go to Instagram, there's a lot of positive comments, but I feel like, oh man, they must be deleting the negative comments. It's kind of funny though. Usually your own comment pops up first and mine's not. So I don't know. But anyways, she's looking at about 10% right now, a little over 10%. And the lack of views, like it would be one thing if this was getting a ton of views, but it's not getting a ton of views and it's being ratioed into oblivion. This was not a good clip. This was not a good clip. I don't know who chose this clip, but it was a bad clip to show. So it's not helping her. We got Michelle says hello from central Minnesota. We got Stephanie here. Good morning from Grand Rapids. Ewan Peters, keep up the good work, Brittany. Why, thank you. We have Rose. Hi, Brittany. We have Brenda. When the chef said he listens to death metal, her first response was dramatic. No, you don't. And then she proceeds to ask him, what is that? She was not listening, not in it. Yeah, I would agree. Modesto Blue Point. Good morning from California. We have Gloria Thornton. Hello from beautiful Southeast Washington State. Farm country, sunny and bright today. Awesome. Mel B says, how mad are y'all going to be with See Much How much disaster current tourist content she slipped in? Yep, that's what we want to see, Meg. Yep. Susan says, I was a little late now. How's Miss Pippa? She's doing a bit better. I sort of made the mistake of switching her to her normal food too early. So her stomach is still a little sensitive. So I'm going to have to, after we're done here, I'm going to go downstairs and make her a bunch of white rice again and more chicken breast. So she is eating very, very well, guys. She's eating like a queen this past week. So we have Siva dislikes on the new preview is 10 times higher than the likes. Yep. Linda says, good afternoon from Southeast England. Maggie from Arizona says, Brittany, hi. I really get to my questions answered on live. You have so many live guests. Good problem to have. Will you please address if Harry has been to church since he moved to the U.S.? Again, not that I'm aware of. Lisa says, yes, judgmental. Hi from Louisiana. Lisa says, Meghan did look almost disgusted as his choice of music. She did. And I was like, that's not really a good look. And she didn't even look particularly engaging. She's sort of flat. And again, guys, I was surprised. Melissa J says, I know someone who reacts like Meghan in those situations. She was definitely disgusted and judging. Exactly. Regina says, if it was scripted, you'd think they'd have warned her about the facial. Yeah. Gretchen II said, you mean Meghan is afraid her children might act like her? Probably. Paris says, with her track record, do you really think the show will air? Yes. I've always been I know some people said, oh, the show won't air. I always believed it would. And yeah, I think it'll 100% air. Netflix is too involved. Like I did come across, guys, if you don't follow me on X, I didn't actually come across a Pinterest ad for her show. I was scrolling through Pinterest and I was like, oh, there's Meghan's show sponsored by Netflix. So yeah. Ritz says, Horror Beauty says, Ritz, the guest will be doing all the work. Sorry, no one cooks in the dress slacks and expensive blouses. Yeah, exactly. She's wearing some obscenely expensive things in that show. Obscenely expensive. And guys, I do have a video that I got to work on this weekend too. So I really need to get my tax stuff done today. About my little experiment making jam. Again, guys, jam is very easy to make. And so it's one of those things I personally think, this is just my personal opinion, is if you're going to make jam and sell it, it's a good like little side hustle to have at a farmer's market. I don't think it's a good business proposition, large scale. Like, and she's basing her whole business, guys, on jam. That's not good. That's not good. You can get jam anywhere. It's a good, I think, smaller side hustle. If you're in a local community, because I did actually have a boss one time. It was kind of a big deal for her. I think it was for every Christmas. She would go up to this small town up north of where we were living, and she would get this jam from this specialty place. And like, it was like a once in a while thing. Like, she super liked it and everything, more of that homespun type thing. The homespun stuff works good on a small scale. I don't think it works on a large scale. Again, you buy this because it's in the palace, not because particularly I wanted this strawberry jam. I imagine this strawberry jam is probably like any strawberry jam. I bought it because it was at a palace. So I think Meghan is sort of missing the larger business context here. And we do have Anya D. Thank you so much for the super chat. She really shouldn't judge the cooking expert currently carrying her show. No, and he was carrying it better than she was. He seemed more interesting than she did, to be quite honest. So, yeah. Yep. Neely says Meghan was shooting daggers in that interview. She sort of was. Dr. J. Bird C says Pamela talks about not using overhead lights in her season 1 show's first episode. And apparently that was Meghan's tip too. It's not a unique or interesting tip. It's not, yeah. Modesto Bluepoint said, and she totally missed the chef's subtle humor. Death heavy metal is good while cutting meat. She's got no sense of humor at all. Yeah, that would make me laugh because I was like, oh, that's good. That's a good one. And again, I think she's so concerned with her persona that she can't be spontaneous because every interaction probably has a million things she's going through her head, making sure it looks like just right. But in the process, it also fails. So yeah. Renee says, hi, everyone. We got Christina. Brittany keeps us on our toes. Yes. Chantal says, Megan looked to camera after the comment to look for confirmation just for a second. No connection to her guest. Yeah. Gail says, I looked up the Korean chef. He has an interesting story. He was on another Netflix cooking show. He has a cookbook called Choi of Cooking, a play on the chef cookbook Joy of Cooking. Yeah, I kind of figured because she says, well, that's not very joyful. So I figured that must be part of his brand, which makes sense. And Key has gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. So I thank you so much. And that really goes to support the channel here. All right. Creative Chaosify says narcissists get you to open up and be vulnerable and then use that information to break you down. That's what we saw in the Speed at Metal clip. Yeah, I think so. And Marian says, oops, gotta love computers. Yep. What is it? Oh, I think it was a joke in Thor. And again, a movie I did not watch. I just watched people who saw it. And like Zeus flicks his clothes off or something. And what's his name? Thor goes, you flicked too hard, man. So I feel like I swiped too hard. Amber says she doesn't want them getting all the attention over her. Yes. Wendy says, good morning. Good morning, Wendy. Kimberly says, the song from Megan's trailer is definitely cringy. It is. Live Free or Die says, I believe in Megan's in manipulation when it comes to Megan. Yeah. Michelle says, hello, Brittany and everyone. Have you heard about the amount of inactive accounts? Yes, we talked about that a little bit. Wendy said, third time's a charm. You'll see. Wendy says, which dynasty had the worst brother dynamics? Richard the Lionheart and John, George, Duke of Clarence and Henry, Richard, William the Conqueror's grandsons? Oh, that's an interesting question. So I don't know all of them quite as well, but I will say the dynamics within the children of Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine are really fascinating because they were really, really competitive with each other, I think. And they just they fought against all the sons fought against their dad at one point. Dad confined mom to a house. Like, you have these unbelievable family dynamics going on. But what's sort of interesting too is that Henry II was actually very, very smart and very apt at his job, like running both England and France or the territories he held in France. And then you have like the succession of sons, like the firstborn son, I think died, like the first two, I think died. And then you had Richard and then you had John, and none of the kids lived up to the parents' level, you could say, of expertise, especially Henry's. And so it's sort of interesting. But yeah, there's just so much infighting. And then George Duke of Clarence, Henry and Richard. If you're talking about Richard, like the third, that's sort of an interesting dynamic too, because Richard the third, obviously, allegedly, some people think he didn't, but killed his nephews in order to inherit the throne. I think he did because that makes sense. But there's a lot of people dedicated to the idea that he did not. And I find it really fascinating. So for me, though, that's the only thing that makes sense. Logic dictates there. But yeah, I need to look up that a little bit more because I'm a bit behind. But yeah, I did sort of a historiography of Eleanor of Aquitaine. It's very interesting, her life. Very interesting. Paula M says Megan is stuck in the 80s. In 90s too. Yeah, she definitely is. And American Lynn says, will the show be released all at once or as weekly episodes? All at once, that is Netflix's format. And that is something that many people at this point are starting to see as a bit of a problem for Netflix. Because again, guys, I listened to Hollywood guys talk about things, and they talked about the difference between a show that drops all at once and a show that's released over a period of time. And a show that's dropped all at once, yes, you can binge it, which is awesome. I personally love that. And at the same time, for Netflix side, you get a huge amount of watch hours because everybody binges it at once. But the problem is, once the show drops, it sort of dies. because you don't have that length of time for people to discuss. Because one of the things people do to sort of generate, and this is just a natural thing of people interested in the show will generate, is just, week after week, the show builds. And everybody keeps talking about, oh, this happened this week, and this happened next week. What's going to happen next week? And you don't have that natural tension with a show that drops all at once. And so it is a format that Netflix may have to change at some point, because the Netflix also has a huge problem, is that it has huge lead times for shows. Wednesday, guys, dropped in, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was the November of 2022. And it's just coming back now for a second season in 2025. That's no, sorry, can't do my right. That's 3 years, 3 years between seasons 1 and 2. And it dropped all at once. So yes, you have like the cultural impact of her dance, which is still actually Netflix's #1 video, is actually the Wednesday dance, if you didn't know. Because I looked it up the other day, because I was like, oh yeah, what was the Wednesday dance? And that currently has 71 million views. Yes, that is right. 71 million views on Netflix is just her dance. So huge cultural impact, but it took them so long to get to season 2. And when you have something that drops all at once, you don't get that longevity. So Netflix has a lot of problems. There's a couple other shows like that. I like One Piece, and it dropped in on August, I think 31st of 2023. And it's supposed to maybe come out the tail end of 2025. It's sort of been rumored 2026. And that's a long time. It's a really, really long time. And it's a show that actually could go on for like probably close to 2 decades, given all the content and material that's available. And so it's like, if they don't start speeding up production, like they'll have to recast like every couple of years, because everybody will get too old for the parts. And so Netflix has an overall issue with that in many ways. And so they sort of need to adjust at some point. And they also only release a small number of episodes, like, 8, 10, 12. Usually it used to be an hour-long series would get 24 episodes in a year, maybe 22. I mean, obviously that's more of like a procedural or something, but that's how many episodes. So Netflix, I think, has some internal logistics issues, if that makes sense. And A says, how much money could they make off this cooking show if it was even successful? Again, I sort of answered that question earlier. It's kind of tough to say. Rose said, Meghan has no sense of humor. She does not. K Coffee says she needs to be authentic. Yep. Rich says the way she looks at people with disdain and contempt when they are speaking to her is truly sick, just awful. Yeah. And they're not saying what she wants them to say. Kimberly says, yeah, Meghan has no poker face whatsoever. Definitely not. Creative Chaosify says Archie has already learned to walk on eggshells around Meghan. Poor boy. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I would imagine that it's not an easy house to be in, would be my guess. Christian the First says Meghan Markle sneak peek 2, current stats, likes 1.4 thousand, dislikes 11,000. Gloria says, I find it ironic. She is an actress, yet she fails to act in the moment, and she really is not that talented or creative. Yep, I would agree. Kyle, thank you so much for the super chat here. Back after a battle with spinal stenosis. Oh, I'm so sorry. Your videos were a highlight. Thank you for that. Good morning to you and Miss Pippa. Why, thank you. I hope you, Kyle, you are recovering and doing really, really well. And I'm glad that my videos like gave you a little bit of encouragement. That always makes me happy. That always makes me happy. So Jilly Bean says those stupid ice cubes she made, she had those flowers checked to make sure they were poisonous. Sheepy says Gordon Ramsay should come on the show and show her where to put that purple lettuce, or I mean, what to do with that purple lettuce. Belinda says I just want to say thank you, Brittany, for keeping U.S. politics out of your channel. I can't stand the two grifters, but I despise Trump and MAGA, so I'm tired of YouTubers giving their biased opinions. You are welcome. You're welcome. If it makes sense to discuss some things related to politics, just because of obviously the situation with Harry and Meghan, yep. But yeah, I try to keep it off. Because to me, yeah, that's not what this channel is about. It's a royal channel. I don't even think of this channel, although I know some others do, as sort of part of the Mexican community. I don't totally consider itself that, because I consider it more leaning towards news and commentary. That's sort of somewhat removed from that. So we have Tammy says hi from Niagara Falls in Ontario, Canada. We have Liz M. The trailer song got markled. Wendy says maybe there's something to that magic. Doesn't her mother practice that kind of thing like that? That's true. Definitely Meghan does. Meghan does with her friends. sitting around singing Kumbaya and tending to manifest something. Yeah. Janice says cringy. Meghan is the Duchess of Cringe. Yes, she is. Babette says she should have started headbanging and laughing instead of giving that look. Yeah, exactly. She couldn't really roll with the moment. Mega Catcher says, do you think Netflix picked that clip because it was the best or because they wanted to expose her or because they are over her? It would be interesting to know. I would imagine she got some sort of say in which clip they chose. But it would sort of be interesting too, because the challenge is that like they were supposed to show the best, and that's really not the best. It's really not the best. Like she has to have better things than that. But Deirdre says Chef Choi went off script in her head and she froze. She did. Creative Chaosify said, on a side note, do we know what Camilla's new pup looks like? Apparently it looks like a mole, hence the name Molly. Well, Cindy says, watch your podcast with Dan Wooten this morning. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Clyde says, do you believe in grifters? Add musical notes. Desert Mermaid says, groceries are a poor choice for her to sell. I can make my own baking mixes. I make my own buttermilk pancake mix for my grandchildren and cocoa mix too. Yeah, I just think that's not a great business to go into. Is there's really not. I struggle with that being a good business avenue. I really do. I really do. That would be one of the last things. Like if I sold jam, it would be a side hustle and just for fun. I would not like go into like, yeah, let's make jam a business. No, because it's like I have huge amount of entrenched competition. And yes, I will get people who want to buy it from a farmer's market or something like that and want to support a local business. But I will not get an international chain. Like that's just crazy town unless you make the best jam ever, but there's not that many ways to make jam interesting. So it's not a great plan. Madame Savant says, hello from Kentucky, just joining in. This is my first live, but I love your videos. Why, thank you so much, Madame Savant. Glad you were able to join us this morning. Mike says, death metal is cheerful. I don't know enough to say. Jen says, did you see 60 Minutes interview with Jason Knapp? Why didn't he say anything critical of Harry and Meghan? Because he is diplomatic. And I actually have a whole watch of it on the Crown Report. So you should tune into the Crown Report. That's live on every Tuesday. And so I'm putting bits of it on the Crown Report channel. Last night, I spent some time staying up late, which is why I was late on here, getting that edited. So it could go up live today. It actually has been uploaded, and I just need to add the thumbnail, add the title, and it should be the next section of it should be live later this afternoon. So Marjorie says, can you imagine the influence of Meghan Markle and Doria on the children? Horrendous. We can only hope the contact is minimal and they're mainly care. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm sure they love them. But yeah, it would be an interesting environment for sure. Shadish says, hello, watchers, 1,600 views, less than 400 likes. No, it's early, just a friendly reminder. Aw. Janice says, hello from Canada. Love your analysis. Why, thank you. Wazzer Kate says, Meghan could have asked Joy Choi how the music gets him in the zone when he's cooking. Oh, that's a good question. That's better. That's better. Live Free or Die says, thank you for gifting. I hope I get chosen. Sophie says, good morning, all from sunny Sussex. Sorry, it's just where I live. Hey, no worries. But off a Pris question, do you think Catherine ever does her own hairstyling? She's always so perfect. I don't think she does, probably would be my guess. Just because it is a lot to do as much hair as she has. That's a lot to do. I have my hair is technically the strands, the individual strands are pretty thin, but I have a lot of it. So it's hard to get my hair dry, to be quite honest, because I have so much of it. But I do like what I do now is and Catherine could maybe do this, but she has so much hair and she has 3 kids and her husband. I just don't think she probably has the time to do this a ton. But what I do is I have the Dry Bar oval like brush hair dryer thing, and that actually gives me a nice little blowout look. So she could do something like that. That would be pretty easy for her to do herself. But at the same time, it would be probably pretty time consuming. Depends too on how oily her skin is and how many washes she needs to have for her hair in a week. Like for me, I can go maybe 3 days without washing my hair, maybe. But I have really oily skin, so the oil tends to show up on my hair very quickly. So some people can go like days or a week without, like they wash their hair once a week and they have gorgeous hair. And it's like, that's just not my reality. So it might be that she has pretty dry skin. And so maybe she can keep her hair pretty good. So she can get kind of one blowout and last most of the week. I'm not that lucky. I'm sure other people aren't as lucky either. So I don't know. I don't know. The Canadian Beaver says gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Why, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Much appreciated for all those who are interested. And then we do have Gloria says South Park creators brilliant. Yes. Kimberly B says yes, South Park definitely has Megan's number. Empty. Yeah. Asa S says, please, the white flashing box on the screen of the desk your lefty drives me nuts while watching videos lately. You can either turn it off or make it permanent. Yeah, I haven't really had any complaints. Yeah, it's just it's technically a calendar thing. And so it's just kind of helpful to me, but I just like put the little video thing there because I'm like, oh, it just allows it to be something where people can hopefully connect. But yeah, Dog Boy, thank you so much for the super chat. Can't wait for the Sussex brand line of douches. Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. And Seba gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Why, thank you so much, Seba. Blackfish says, hey, Brittany from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Love your show. Why, thank you. Carol says, Megan does not have the ability to adapt or problem solve. She really doesn't. That was not a great reflection. Nellie says, love, what are you wearing, Brittany? So this is actually a little like shirt thing from Calvin Klein. So I have one in purple, black, and this white one. And I got them from like TJ Maxx. That is TJ Maxx, Ross are my jam. So Sheepy says the theme song should have been Abracadabra. I want to reach out and grab you. Steve Miller fan because of the glaw. Joy de Vive says one needs to be interesting for shows to work. Most celebrities are trained to present fun stories, but she would never take any advice and would think herself above such training. I would think that's true, but I think some people are generally more engaging in that way than others. And again, I think I've heard Emma Stone is very much like that. So, Paris says one could argue she lucked out marrying Harry, which is true. Yet she's done nothing but run around without a compass. I'll be darned if I marry Prince and still hustling around. Very true. Very true. Karen C says, hello from Connecticut. Finally made a live wishing Pippa gets well soon. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Oh, I was like, oh, darn. I was hoping we were out of the woods, but not quite yet. And she does have some still medication to take. Creative Chaosify says, if Megan did a Ruby Frankie on her kids, would Harry step in to save them? Oh, that's so hard. That's so hard because Harry is so devoid of irony and reality that I just don't know if he could get some things. Rich says Megan has a thing for hanging hand to make sure she shows off her jewelry. Always the trinket jewelry, as Brittany says. Yeah, she has all this expensive trinket jewelry. I just don't get it. Jen says I love Catherine and William chose to live in a home with their kids with no staff to give them a more normal childhood. Exactly. Now, do they have staff who comes into work? Probably. Do they live there? No. Marjorie says apparently Netflix has the most hate watchers of any streaming service. P Pacific says Prince William and Catherine Moore personalized Chef Whites on visit to Institut de Tourmise et du Hotel in Quebec, Canada to learn the French cooking techniques during their 2011 royal tour. That is awesome. Carol says, I think Pamela's cooking show will air on Hulu. That'd be interesting. It'd be actually interesting for Hulu to like sort of like, rib Netflix. Madame Savant says, have you guys seen Real Housewives Jen's comment on the new Taylor Traizer has 1,000 more likes than the actual video, which is hilarious. Rich says, even better than chicken. I want to see her stuff a chicken with her bare hands. Yep. Rose says, good morning from Newcastle, Australia. I think that Harry will get sick of Megan using the kids to promote herself. Probably one of the deal breakers. Yeah, it might be. Oh, interesting question. Sharon says, Brittany, do you think Megsy will have Doria on? She might. Harry will be on there briefly, although we haven't heard anything about that. So, and I wouldn't be surprised too if Doria, because I've always been of the opinion that Doria is in on the grift. That's just my personal opinion. Take it for what you will. And so she probably doesn't want to overexpose herself. If that makes sense. Rit says, I want to see her make fresh sausage from scratch, stuffing and all. Ooh. Sheepy says, I watched a show for her act in an actual restaurant kitchen to see her actually break a sweat. They just probably ask her to wash the dishes though. And then she'd have to tell them the dish story. I need to create this weekend. Obviously, taxes today is my main goal. But this weekend, I need to write down. I should just write it on a to-do list. Guys, we need jam video and we need a bingo card. Because yes, Carol says Meghan never respected Harry, his family, or his culture. She did not. Ellen says the tiara looks very pretty on you. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Paul says Meghan controls Harry by touching his shoulder and back, such that Harry is playing the role of a child and Meghan is Diana. Yep. Disfan says, good morning, Brittany. Did you see where President Trump got a personal invite letter from His Majesty? Yes, I did. And this is something where some people, when I put it on X, we're like, oh, Charles has to host the criminal or whatever. Does not matter what Charles' personal opinion is. Does not matter what you think about Trump. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Trump is the president of the United States. There's a new king. It makes sense to have another state visit. This is historic precedence. And so that's what's going to happen. It's just got needlessly, well, I hate Trump, so therefore, Charles shouldn't host him, or, oh, poor Charles. Doesn't matter what Charles' opinion is. And Charles would be best served to actually keep his opinion to himself, because his goal is to represent the UK and the UK citizens. And the United States is one of Britain's greatest allies. And the goal is to keep the United States happy. That's just it. The United States has more power in this scenario. Guys, I know a lot of foreign politics is approached as sort of an academic exercise. Guys, it's a power game. It's a power game. How much power you have over others and how you utilize it, that's actual politics. Or at least how politics should actually be worked, because that's a real thing. Caroline says, is that video where when they weren't supposed to be there and came out and grabbed and ushered them out? No, they were always supposed to be there. That is not true. I don't think that they were asked to leave. I think they had always planned to leave. M. Ryan says Meghan is a legend in her own mind. Kimberly Smith says she never showed respect for him and he was fine with it, belittled his whole family, and he was right alongside her as her biggest cheerleader. Yep, because he's a beta male. Marjorie says there's another clip where she tries to go back into a room ahead of the queen and aides held her and Harry back. So no style, no grace, just selfishness. Exactly. Yeah. That was the event. It was like recognizing the amount of time I think Charles has been the Prince of Wales, I think 60 years or something. And it was really awkward. Really awkward. Melby says, I trained Seal. Oh dear. Now there's a new vision. Gloria says Rachel never ever respected the monarchy nor the rules regarding. She wanted to discuss changes in the firm. Who does that? Rachel does over and over. When declined, people were racist, mean. Yeah, exactly. She was basically told, no, your suggestions aren't welcome here. And she did not like that. Creative Chaosify says cooking is a sweaty work, breaking down in chunks of meat, searing open flame. Megan just wants to daintily drop some garnish on a plate. Yep. Leah says her lack of insight is astonishing. I cringed so hard for her. Yep. Kitsy's Bit says stop spreading depression and you won't see depression. What? Rose says good morning from Newcastle, Australia. Oh, yeah. We saw that. Mary F says Netflix wanted to show Meghan as relatable native from LA. Epic fail. Yeah, I think she did. Madam Savant says he's Korean, so she started talking about Koreatown. Yeah, that's sort of, you could call it racist. Minnie Coco Chanel says, I was so excited when she entered the royal family for Harry. He looks so happy, then all downfalls. And Meghan, I really can't stand her. That's been so many people's feeling for sure. Sarah McDowell says, thank you so much for the gift of the membership. I definitely needed an uplift today. Wait, I'm so glad you got one. Amy and JJ says, is it true that our cooking was supposed to premiere in August last year? If so, then what's the reason for the delay for months? I think I can imagine this would not take long to edit. I'm sure this has been in the can, guys, for months. I think it was the trademarks. I think they were desperately trying to get the products to launch with the show. And Netflix is like, we're not sitting on this anymore. If you can't get your act together, boo-hoo, sorry for you, but we need this to go on. You can't just sit here ad nauseum and not do anything. And I think that's what happened. Gretchen the First says, I don't think Meghan deals with the work of the bees or the garden. It's all for show. Could be. She can definitely pay people to do that for her. So Rit says, agree about no chemistry. Painful to watch. I felt bad for Chef Choi. He held it together, though. He did. I wish in my video I had said more about how, like, he did a good job. I did say, though, it's not his job to carry this. It's hers. She's the host. So it's her job to carry the scene. If she can't carry the scene, That's gonna be a problem. Carol says, "Would love to see your original video." Yes, I will share that. Paul says she was well versed in the etiquette and protocol of royal life, but she had no discipline and boundaries to self-impose them. She had an arrogant messiah complex. I agree there. She definitely thought she was the bomb. Rich says she exemplified fakery that is Oscar worthy. I don't even know if I would go that far because she definitely can't act. Gretchen the First says, best line of the week goes to Princess of Wales in Wales. I have plum jam recipe. I'll share for free. Yes. Oh, we got over here. Oh, we got a couple. Dog Boy says, can't wait for Meghan to start menopause. Whoa. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go, let's say, too far. Because, that's hard on every woman. Ugh, can't talk today. Real Daily Tea, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, Brittany, enjoying your Crown Report. Great. Good work. Why, thank you so much. We also had the Canadian Beaver. He is the head of the Commonwealth, but is only head of state for UK and 15 realms. There are 56 member countries of the Commonwealth. Very, very true. Thank you so much. And yeah, so it is like it's one of those things where, like, I think Harry and Meghan really thought they would be king and queen of the Commonwealth, and it just didn't work. But Jilly Bean says, my daughter and I have Coco with you every Saturday now. We love watching her fail in the community. I think if you go to England again, we may go. Oh, awesome. Yes, I would love to. So yeah, the travel company I use doesn't have any England trips. I actually need to reach out to my person again, going, I kind of, seeing if I can sort of tailor one. She kind of thought that might be possible. So I need to probably put together a desired itinerary and send it their way, and maybe we can make something happen. Because thankfully our France trip is confirmed, so we have 12 people signed up. We have only 8 more slots left, actually, so very exciting. It's in September, and I'm only doing 1 trip this year. It just seemed like that would work best. I think next year, I think I'll plan more for 2. This year, I think just the 1 is probably good. I couldn't figure, especially because I can't dictate the dates now anymore in the same way. So that kind of limits me a smidge. And I just don't know. I kind of like just doing the 1, and I kind of run out of the itineraries sort of that I want. So I'm kind of like, oh, I guess, I mean, I'll have to go back through and do other ones. Do love the Germany Austria trip that goes to Neuschwanstein. Oh, that's a wonderful trip. That's a wonderful trip. So I would like to offer that one again, but I think I might just sort of reorganize and regroup next year and see what might work better. Hannah says, I felt like Meghan was forced to be on the most recent sneak peek, like she didn't want to be there. Maybe. Bobby Estrella says, Mary Kate and Ashley. Oh my goodness, I had all their movies on VHS at one point. Yep, many did. Many did. Creative Chaosify says, so are we taking bets on how long the communication officer will last? The poor woman doesn't know when fresh hell awaits her. Yeah, because here's the thing is that the problem is really at the end of the day that, oh, sorry. I think too quickly sometimes. The problem is them. The problem is not the media's reaction to them. The problem is them. They're causing the media's negative reaction. They are making mistakes that they shouldn't be making. They are saying things they shouldn't be saying. Harry going and talking about morality and ethics when he sold his soul and family for millions of dollars is not a good look. You look like a hypocrite. And so, like, you have to stop them from saying stupid things. And I think that's going to be really challenging. Paul says Meghan cosplaying Diana that is enabled Harry is like a psycho. Yeah. Sort of like her telling him that she's like the reincarnation of his mother. Yeah. Sort of driving a lot of things. Caroline says, even my hubby today said, why would anyone want to work for them? They don't know who they are and the drama that goes with them. Exactly. Or they just think that somehow it's going to be helpful to them. Honestly, I can only think of the misery that awaits them, to be quite honest. Carol Marlich says, Prince Philip was strategic and practical and survived a defunct monarchy and did not want it to happen to the queen. Yes. The Canadian Beaver says there is a history to the Sussex name, Queen Elizabeth II. It was sharp as a tack. She was. She was. Gretchen the First says, I get so tired of Prince Harry and his pokes about ethical leaders and freedom of speech and online censorship. How is that him not acting like an unregistered foreign lobbyist? Strip the titles of that. Very true. Very true. Linda says, Koreatown has more than clubs. The area has great selections of restaurants and eateries. Exactly. And that's what she should be talking about. It talks about, it makes it seem like, which I think is true, that she's never really been to Koreatown. Karen says, Harry is still displaying royal. His current speech was ridiculous. He needs to go back to the kindergarten and learn a few things. Yep. Yep. So Annie Key says, can anyone tell me who Chef Choi is and why did he agree to be part of her show? I don't understand. He should care about his reputation. Some people I think just don't know the negativity associated with them, or just sign up because, oh yeah, it'll give me some exposure, and then don't realize it's kind of not working until later, or they get there and they, and she can be charming. Is she charismatic? No, but can she be somewhat charming? I think so. And so she kind of gets people to be excited, and then it just kind of goes sideways. Wendy says, a woman in a town I grew up in married a man in England. When she came back, she expected to be called by the title. People would call her that in a mocking fashion. I do not think titles, are all that helpful sometimes. Probably not. Gloria says, so many, just not interested. Yep, I agree. So interesting. Noreen says, I was unable to hit the thumbs down button on Netflix's site on Meghan's video yesterday. Very interesting. Teacher Ray Samantha says, what do you think of Mindy Kaling's opinion about Meghan when she was interviewed at the Golden Globes? Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny that she basically chalked it up to being postpartum. And that's why she went over there. But Mindy Kaling, I'm not necessarily a fan of Mindy Kaling. She was also behind Velma, voice Velma, ruined Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo's an awesome show. She sort of ruined it. And not totally, but her rendition of it was horrifically awful from what I could tell. And yeah, so Mindy is just, to me, like, she's just kind of, she strikes me a little as her Office character was sort of based on her. And if you're familiar with The Office, you know that character is a little dingy. And I think Mindy's kind of the same way. So I think she's sort of unfamiliar with the reality of Meghan Markle. But I also think it's funny that if she did not take any of Meghan's tips to her child's next birthday, then guys, we have a perfect example of how somebody who was on Meghan's show did not take anything from Meghan Markle. As Casey says, I have 3 words for Megxie this week. Bless her heart. Yep. If you guys don't know, it's sort of a Southern thing that you can say something like, maybe that's not necessarily the best about somebody else, but as long as you say bless their heart, you can say whatever you want. I learned that actually in Wyoming, of all places. Love Lee says, why are people remotely interested in how she lives in her mansion? It's not like we are sitting in the garden with her. Exactly. And it's kind of dumb because she's not even going to be filming in her home. Is any section of that show going to be in her home? If not, it's just kind of dumb. Oh, Lizzie B gifted 1 Royal News Network membership. Why, thank you so much, Lizzie. That is so sweet of you. I know some people have been really enjoying that. Gretchen the First said, Dan Wooten has solid sources and usually data backup reporting like that. He knows not to report what you cannot back up. Yeah, I'm sure it's good. I always like to, just for my own edification, look at something and know what the program is being used and maybe test it out with other things. And this is part of, like, I trust Stan, but it's always trust and verify kind of thing. You trust somebody, but you also want to verify. Like, I see things and I always go back and I try to find the original source, guys. Almost always I try to find the original source. Wendy Van Rokel says, who marries a person from a foreign place and then disrespects the culture this much? It is stunning to me. Yeah, for somebody who's apparently very culturally savvy, allegedly. Cheryl says her voice is like fingernails down a blackboard. Love your channel. We adore our royal family, and the majority of Brits will never forgive how she mocked and denigrated our beautiful queen from the UK. Yep, that was kind of really dumb of her. Very dumb. Chris Cook said, Smell, also the chef, said it was in Dan's cruise back in the day. He could have just shown his moves, taught her, maybe get to know Dan's cruise. She just cut him off. Yeah, she just didn't really go with it. The hate watching is going to give her ratings, and that Netflix reason is season 2, and this is drama building happening again. I honestly don't think, guys, the hate watching will be as huge as you might think. I think based on, again, that the sneak peek that I've gotten more views in the sneak peek, I think shows that Meghan's series definitely does have, I don't know if the shelf life is the greatest, but it doesn't have as much of a reach as it should. And yeah, I think it's going to struggle a bit. Deborah says, Brittany, I hope you get Catherine's plum jam recipe and make it even better to taste with Meghan's. Yeah, that would be really funny. Really funny. Aram Scout says, not to hate watch from me. I will see Brittany or Taz. If that, don't torture yourself much. Brittany, Archetypes was horrible. Yeah, I honestly, guys, gave up on Archetypes after a while. I think I listened to the first 3, but it was so gosh darn dull that I couldn't listen to any more of it. It was just like, there was nothing there. And then the Queen died around that time too. And so after that point, I was like, oh, who cares? The sloppy gangsta says, let's talk about Meghan's atrocious fashion. Why is she dressed like that? She loves men worse. But not good ones. I really do think it's weird, the Ralph Lauren, where it looks like her crotch is like a foot long. It's kind of weird. Seba says the prenuptial agreements don't work in British courts. That's why they're not done. Deb Peterson says, thought Meghan's just not a nice person with a negative persona naturally, and she has to fake everything to engage with someone. Probably. Wouldn't be surprised. Lisa says the media keeps saying their net worth is 60 million. Do you think they have that much money? So net worth is combined like property, investments, those sorts of things. It's not just liquid cash. So could I see their net worth being around 60 million? Yeah, because they purchased their home was about 14 million. It could have increased in price to about 20 million. They have other things tied up, maybe more like $10 million in actual cash or something. But this is much, much smaller than the sort of billion-dollar empire that we were told they were going to create. Gretchen the First says, read Meghan on Netflix. I'm looking forward to the combo of RNN for straightforward facts and analysis, and RHN Jen because of her snarky comedic takedown. Will be brutal. Yes. Again, lots of people watch, other people watching it. Creative Chaosify says, do the working worlds have any interesting upcoming engagements? Actually, several. So there'll be a couple of 5 state visits in March this month. So we have Mary and Frederick in Finland. We have Maxima and Wilhelm Alexander in Cyprus, and then Maxima and Wilhelm Alexander in Kenya. We have the Luxembourgs hosting a state visit from Singapore, and then Mary and Frederick going to France for a state visit. So I'm kind of debating because I was going to go and try to cover the state visits, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to go for the April thing. But then the state visit between Luxembourg and Singapore lines up very, very well with the state visit between France and the Denmark. And I'm kind of thinking, should I try to cover that? So I'm debating that right now. Gretchen the First says Disney is more about merch than the movies themselves. Yes, merchandising is huge, guys. Merchandising is massive. It's massive. In fact, when it comes to Star Wars, actually, the merchandising was really what kept Lucasfilm in as flush as cash as it was. Sheriff from Tennessee says, in Spirit, I saw no evidence Harry follows any religion. He talked about thinking a leopard was a sign from his mother and consulted a medium who contacted Diana. Magical thinking, maybe? Probably. A. Bertasso says, your lives get my Saturday off right. I've hit a bit of a slump around 10 a.m. when you come on in Florida. And your combination of energy and comfort helps reset my motivation. Why, thank you. Creative Chaosify says, what's up with Marius? I heard he got a new lawyer. Yes, he got a new lawyer. And it's somebody who has more experience with sort of police efforts and the courts. His previous lawyer was basically a criminal, like a hardcore criminal attorney who you could say almost was probably too close to the criminals, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, so that's been the major change. I'll have to keep up this week when I do the Royal Wire because there will be no Crown Report this week because unfortunately Meghan's show drops on the same day and I will be too busy with that. So I'm going to try to get the Crown Report done. That's another thing to add to my to-do list here. The Crown. Oh, the Royal Wire is what I call it technically. I have too many names, guys. I need to streamline the names again. Too many names. Because I originally called it the Royal Wire because it was just going to be a written thing. And then I added the Crown Report and stuff. And so, yeah. all over the place. Peeper Jean, thank you so much for the super chat. Chef Choi has already done a show on Netflix. I'm guessing Netflix has a good working relationship with him and involved him out of desperation because it was a struggle to find people to work with Meghan. I'm sure that's probably actually pretty true. I'm sure that's pretty true. I'm sure they were like, okay, who do we have on deck here that we can drag into this mess? And it's, to him too, he's like, well, this will get me great exposure. Netflix will be happy. That helps my relationship with them, yada, yada, yada. So people did do that for sure. But yeah, I just don't see Meghan's show being super big, to be quite honest. I just don't see it. Don't see it. And Netflix, again, I will give them credit. They're trying to promote this a bit more. But if their sneak peek, again, is the best content they have, that's going to be a real problem. DS, a member for 11 months, says off topic. You look lovely this morning. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. I was like this morning. Well, and I take off times Benadryl at night because my allergies are so bad. And so I wake up I'm groggy when I wake up. So I definitely did not get around her much this morning. So did a little bit of makeup just to look presentable. Susie Q says, I wonder why Harry's now wife didn't start her merchandising endeavor with the most obvious choice of dish soap, lemon scented, of course. That would actually make more sense. That would make more sense. Isa Texas says, I had an undergraduate student just like Meghan Markle. It was the worst 6 months of teaching. Insufferable. I'm sure it was. Sure it was. Gretchen the First says, being ratioed and low view numbers equals viewer fatigue. I bet it's more likely the show tanks. Yeah. I don't think it's generally a good sign for her. Maggie from Arizona said, did the chef say now we're family so Meghan would ghost him? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Heather says, I love how she continues to blame the RF for why she hasn't been able to show us her authentic self. Like she hasn't been apart from them for 5 years. Exactly. Again, that sort of line doesn't work because also I know she could have restarted her Instagram at any point during that time and showed us her real self. And you notice she's not really showing us her real self. It's again, highly curated. She's trying to be a little bit more natural, but still highly curated content. And so to be quote unquote, I would argue natural, you need to show fun and interesting. She's just not doing that. Carolyn says, I wonder what interesting conversation Meghan would involve. Yeah. Soap. I don't know. Babette says, I make candles, soap, hot sauce for gifts. People love it, but it's not a viable business. It's not. It's really not a viable business. And I don't think Meghan's has much viability. So Faith Goodman says, hello, everyone. Have you guys seen the lovely videos of Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine in Wales on First St. David's Day, which is awesome, which is today. Did they actually go today? I thought it was just earlier this week. Now I'm curious. I have not seen. Okay. That's probably. All right. So it's probably just part of the I'm forgetting. Yes. So we did see them, but they're not there today. They're not there today as far as I'm aware. Gloria says, I make jam all the time. I'm from the Caribbean. We have lots of fruits. There's jam everywhere on sale. And NYC, I hardly buy jam. Yep. It's for sale everywhere. That's just the thing. Again, I feel like she wants her name to carry the brand, and that's a terrible way to go about things. Because yes, your name will help, but your products have to be good. Doesn't matter what your name is. If your products are crappy, you will fail. And if your products are nothing to be excited about, if they end up being just like any other jam you can purchase in store, you will fail because your name can't carry you forever. You have to have decent products. Yeah. So, anyways, that's my soapbox there. Sophie says, I was under the impression for many years that in the US you call jam jelly. Is that not the case? There's actually a difference. There is jam and jelly. Jelly is I think liquid sugar, basically. It's not that healthy for you. Yes, we have jelly and jam. Hudson Saint and Co. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says the fact that she didn't do a press tour says a lot. Yes, I'm curious if we will get any sort of additional press like her going on shows or anything. But she doesn't like anything where a question could be asked that she doesn't want to be asked, and I feel like that's very, very That's not very sustainable forever. You can't do that forever. Like, inevitably, you look standoffish if you won't answer a decent question. And she will have to risk the Blake Lively thing. Blake Lively put her foot in her mouth, and she's blaming Justin Baldoni, but it's Blake Lively who ruined Blake Lively. She opened her mouth, and then the internet went into overtime because they're like, "Why are you talking about X when this is a movie about domestic violence? That doesn't make sense." And then they dig and they dig and they dig and they dig because that's what the internet does. So, anyways, the Royal Daily Tea. Good morning, all. I loved it. Queen Mary in the Jenny Peckham gown. Yes, she wore that for her 50th. Some pictures for her 50th birthday for the Financial Times. And then I think she had one other picture that was part of that too. She had another dress that was made that she's worn for, I think she wore it for the New Year's Gala, and I think another thing as well, which I also like. Viral Elemental says the next line in the magic song is, "In a young girl's heart, Meghan sees herself as young, LOL, and innocent." Yuck. Jenny J says, "Hi, what is Meghan's obsession with the letter A? Since she's marrying Harry, all her companies have started with A. Archwell Archetypes, ARO, as ever." Oh, good point. I never put that connection there before. Oh, that's very interesting. Because to me, so I'm thinking of, well, I had an idea for a history thing, and I just don't think it would have been more broad-based history, but I just don't think it'll work because I just don't know if the name quite works for what I want. Because guys, here's the thing. When I'm considering a name for something, I think long and hard about it. I really, really do. I think long and hard. And I'm like, okay, does this work here? Does this work there? Like, what is the angles and everything? And it's one of those things where I just really, 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 really want it to work. I want it to work. And so I like think through all the variations. Can I get all the social media handles and everything? And yeah, I probably didn't think through this channel as much as I should have, to be quite honest. I wish I had done some additional things as well, but the name was good. The name was good. And the name was unique and interesting. And it was one where I wanted to grow into what the name stands for, which is Royal News Network. So Jane says, "Will you ever do another guided tour of London? I would love to be on the next one." Yes, that is the plan at some point. I do need to reach out to the person who's arranged some of the other trips and see if we can get something more like something where I can kind of dictate what I want to do on the tour. And yeah, because I liked it. I did like going out to the Cotswolds. That was fun. But there was definitely a lot more things around London I wish we had done. No bicycle trips this time. Because the bicycle thing did not go well last time. I was supposed to be, it first started out as like a hour and a half tour, and I thought we'd get enough time to go to Westminster Abbey because we were kind of wired across the river from Westminster. And it somehow turned into like a 3 or 4 hour excursion and lots of chaos and issues and like, oh my gosh. Because I was like, to me, I didn't want to do the bicycle ride because I was like, I haven't ridden a bike in so long, but I was like, but I don't want to be a weenie either. So I was like, I left it on. I really wish I had not. Learn that the next time. And when we did Germany and Austria, like the first thing I said is, "Oh, there's a bike tour." I'm like, "Ixnay the bike tour, no bike tour, no bike tour." And it's actually kind of funny, guys, because my tour guide on the Germany Austria trip, she told me, yeah, the number one incident reports she writes for the tours is for bicycle accidents. So I'm like, okay, never bicycles, never bicycles. Heather said when she played Rachel Jane, she played herself. I mean, bully. But on this new show, she's really having to act like a humble person, which makes you see what a horrible actress she is. Yeah, Rachel Zane, I think, was essentially Meghan. I don't think she acted much at all. Marjorie says, "Some say that King Henry VII's mother killed the princes, but then why would Richard's aide have one of their jeweled collars?" Yeah, so I don't understand. Well, I actually want to do something sort of exploring that because I do find it fascinating that people are like so dedicated to proving that it wasn't Richard III when Richard III was the obvious beneficiary of their deaths and sort of was the one who was able to categorize them as illegitimate. So yeah, he just like it's obvious. It's obvious, but I'm curious to the people who don't think that and why. I'd be interested in doing a series where I talk to people about that. Monica says, "Time for work. Enjoyed your commentary as always. Hope HIPAA feels better. Have a great day, everyone." Why, thank you. I thank you. Yes. Tanya says, "As far as the death metal music, what's so crazy about that? Maybe it inspires him to be creative and enjoy it." She could have asked him how it inspires him or what he likes about it. Exactly. But she looked like she genuinely did not like that. And he's kind of like, I think almost felt bad because she was kind of like, "Well, you don't like that. That's not very joyful in cooking." Like, it really was not a very kind thing for her to say. It really wasn't. Faith says, "Hello, everyone. Have you seen the lovely?" Oh, yes. Okay. We did that comment already. Maggie says, "Display the tiara for us to enjoy, please." Yes, it is right here. I would wear it for longer, but I do have one of those issues where even though I like headbands and I enjoy wearing them, I get headaches. So you guys can see my big old stack of those are all tiara books. Well, one of them is about Mary, but tiaras and diamonds, those are what all those books are about. Kay Palace says Meghan is trying to copy Dolly Parton's success with her collab with Duck and Hines and box mixes. I wouldn't say she's necessarily copying, but is it like it's not like my thing is yes, there's the market is so stiff. My always question is if she's gonna do this, what makes her interesting? What makes her interesting? Besides the title, what makes her contributions in this area interesting? And I don't think she can answer that. Aletha says, love that Charles has gotten a new dog. The Lagoto Roma is a hyperallergenic dog that has a long lifespan of 15 to 17 years. 2 decades is a long time between dogs. I couldn't go 2 years. Yeah, hypoallergenic. That's good to know because I need hypoallergenic dogs. Sue Webb says, "Hi, Brittany. So sorry I haven't been around for quite a while with illness." Forrest says, "Woof woof" to Miss Pippa. Why, thank you, and I hope you are feeling better. If you're feeling better. Fire Elemental says, "Jays." Oh my goodness, I would so definitely buy Catherine's hair care products. I would agree with that. If Catherine came out with hair care products, I'd buy those. JK says, "Catherine needs her own hair website." Can you imagine? This is the original comment. Can you imagine if she sold hair care products? Yeah, yeah. Because Meghan says she's passionate about this, but we really haven't seen that enacted in any way. So she claims she's passionate about gardening, and we've seen pictures of them gardening, but she hasn't done anything, I would say, publicly, which is could have been where actually having a decently running social media site could have been helpful, showing her in the garden and doing different things and talking. Like she's not doing the things she needs to do because she wants it to be so curated and perfect. I think she sort of messes it up. Although then she does these videos where she's talking to us and like cutting off half her head. I don't get it. I don't get it. The Canadian Beaver says Prince Harry marrying Meghan. He has the same relationship King Charles had with Diana. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing Meghan has in common with Diana. Yeah, and I would say Diana and Meghan probably had their worst aspects in common, to be quite honest. Diane says, "I love the video of Prince William speaking Welsh. Pretty awesome. Both him and Catherine did well in Wales." Yes, and apparently they are both learning the language, which I think is awesome. Good for them. So Christina says, Brittany, give Miss Pippa chicken breast with rice, which is better than a whole chicken, and then slowly add her normal food into the chicken and rice mix. You should have a better outcome. Why, thank you. Yes, I should have just made the chicken yesterday. I don't know why I didn't. I was just like, oh, maybe we're better. I went too far too soon, guys. It was my mistake. Melanie says, if I was Meghan, I would only have one product dish soap. I'd call it Markle Sparkle and donate all the proceeds to the worthy charity. Much better plan, in my opinion. That's actually not a bad plan. Markle Sparkle for like it's cliche and cheesy, but it'd actually be better. But she'd hate the last name, so that's why she wouldn't do it. But again, it comes back to like, I go back to Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Ashley had this desire to create the perfect T-shirt, and that was the start of the Row, which is well known for its tailoring. It's called the Row after Savile Row. They're in the UK, and it's well-known tailors. So it's like the whole brand is a reference on itself. Meghan's logo has no connection to the brand name. We don't like they're not connected at all. And so it's like I just am so incredibly confused. But Beth said, didn't she say she went to a Korean spa on her podcast? She probably did. She probably did the superficial things. That seems about Meghan's level. Red says she supposedly invited Mindy over to cook for her, but ended up cutting her a piece of cake. Wow. Yeah. Madam Esther says, if you want to see an American that has done it well, it is wife of the future Earl of Sandwich in YouTube, and she is great. She is. I've seen her channel before. Good stuff. Gorilla says, I visited Japan in 2003. Always remember the kind people and culture, a culture that is not snobbery a bit about respect and worship of it. for ancestors. Lovely people would like to visit again someday. I actually thought of doing a trip to Japan because I've kind of run out of the European trips. One to Turkey, maybe. Chantal says, I will let you know how quickly With Love Megan will drop from the top 10 in Netflix in the Netherlands. Pola didn't even reach it. Perhaps otters can do better from that other country. Why, thank you. Well, others can do that from other countries. That would be helpful. So yeah, let me know where you guys see it landing in the top 10. I think I'm gonna predict it might hit the top 10. I'm gonna say might get into the top 10. But guys, there's huge but coming. And I meant to do a video on this. I don't know if I'll get time. So I'll just say here, if I get time, I might expand on it later. Why this again is about bad thing. But Donald Trump is addressing the nation in it's not the official State of the Union because he hasn't been president a year yet, but it's basically a State of the Union that same night. That's gonna totally blow anything about her show out of the water. It's gonna crush her show. It's gonna crush her show, especially which what happened recently with Vladimir Zelensky and everything. That's going to kill any momentum her show has. 150%. 150%. And then we also have Daredevil Born Again is dropping on Disney Plus, which is a competitor. But Daredevil, according to the people who are big fans of that show, it was one of the best things Marvel ever did. And so they are they're cautiously optimistic, but if that does really well too, that'll sort of crush her as well. Because that's infinitely more watchable and entertaining than her stuff. So Creative Chaosify says, will King Charles give permission for the remains found under the tower to be genetically tested to see if they are the young princes? That has been the thought, and that has been the suggestion, but I haven't heard yet if that's gone through or not. Chili Bean says he's a chicken shredder. They're new and amazing. They work so good. I can cut 6 pounds of chicken and shred it in 2 minutes, and I don't have to have my blender out. Nice. Nice. Heather says, I got a ton of daffodils in my yard. They are blooming right now in honor of St. David's Day. Yes. Darlene says, Meghan Markle using her hose demonstrating she's a firefighter. I don't understand how somebody with as much money as they have don't have like a hose nozzle. I'm very confused by that. Lady Aviator says, RNN, have you done a trip to Poland? I'm American working for a Polish armed forces. I just got back from Warsaw. It's a beautiful city and lots of wonderful museums and things to do. So I've been to Krakow and I took a day trip from Krakow to Auschwitz. And so I have been there, but I have not been to Warsaw. So there is not currently right now, the tour company I work with, there's not a tour of Poland, but that is a possibility one day. Carol says, exactly. You have to have great products, great customer service, and see a seamless marketing strategy. Meghan has none of these things. She does not. She does not. Darlene says, I live in a water-rich country. We do not use our hoses. Capture rainwater and use good old gravity. Oh, very interesting. Gorilla's BFF says, I really enjoyed the visit to Japan. Beautiful country, lovely people, wonderful culture and tradition. My takeaway was the respect for others, a tradition and ancestry not seen in North America. Yes, very, very good. All right, guys. So we will go ahead and wrap this up because we've been about here for a little over 2 hours, guys. So again, no video for today. Hoping I get most of my stuff done today. And so I can get back to content tomorrow. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I need to check on my little baby downstairs, see how she's doing. Canadian Beaver gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships again. Thank you so much. I hope somebody else who didn't get one earlier got a new one. So thank you guys again so much. Couple members things for this week. Oh, I'll make that video live for members. And if everybody else wants to see it too, I may just make the whole thing visible again and sort of change the thumbnail and title. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, it's going to be a week next week, guys. I hope you all are ready. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Saturday, and I shall talk to you soon. All right. Bye.